Hello, guys. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, I mean, good afternoon from wherever you are joining us. It's good to have you guys here. My name is Gbemisola, and then we have a nice time out for another studies. Today, we'll be dealing with implementing EC2 Instant Security Admin. And here we are going to be having our humble boss. His name is Kofi Addai, and a little bit about his profile. He's an highly motivated support engineer and is specialized in providing services which are practical, and then it assists system users by IT service telephony. So he's well grounded with a lot of networking and core AWS service. He's a big IT guy. So um, let me call him off stage.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, Sir Kofi.
Hi. It's been a wonderful session that you guys have been having. So I thought it was a wonderful time for me to really join your ongoing series. So
Yeah,
I'm
you're
happy to be
welcome,
here.
sir.
All right, thank you. So
We are glad to have you,
just
sir.
like yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I would
So
like you
just
to
like
like
John
just
said, what we doing? Yeah, go ahead, John.
okay.
Yeah, I can hear loud and clear.
I would like you to give us a brief introduction, and I will just want you to watch us. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I believe all of you have a bit of experience of deploying resources on AWS. And one of the common resources people deploy on AWS is what? EC2, a compute resource. But when you deploy it, you need to ensure that those resources are protected. It's not going to be easily accessible by bad actors. So this course is all about that. We're going to give you an overview about some of the things you can actually do to harden your EC2 instance. So I hope you guys are ready, and hope you have your thinking hat on, because one of the key things we'll be doing as well as always is going to be some quiz sessions. So make sure you pay attention. All right.
All right, guys, you've heard it. I can't wait to learn from you, sir. So, uh, yeah, let's just start up, and then we don't have much time. Just take all through watch today. Thank you.
Absolutely. So let me share my screen. All right. So as my colleague said, today we're going to look into securing your EC2 instance, right? So the first thing I want us to go through is the introduction. So give you a bit of what is going to happen here. So we want to protect your EC2 from any potential attacks. And I got a few guidelines you can actually follow to protect your environment from any authorized access, and also protect your data as well. Let's start with reviewing some of the ways a bad actor can actually get into your system. So at least we understand what the capabilities are and exactly what we can do to protect ourselves against those threat vectors. So the bad actor can actually potentially attack the EC2 instance in various ways, as you can see on the screen here. They can attack by brute force. So using brute force attack, the attacker can attempt unauthorized access to the EC2 instance by repeatedly trying different username and also password combination until they find the right one, and they will get in. Another way they can do as well is by using what we call the password spree, similar to the brute force. Sometimes you can even purchase some passwords from the dark web. So if there is a successful attack and they manage to gather any kind of password and also username, some bad actors will sell into the dark web, and other bad actors can actually purchase those ones and then use that one in terms of the attack. Another way is that they can also use a dictionary attack, whereby they can use a database of dictionary words, and then they'll go through those lists, and then to use that one to brute force into your EC2 instance. All right. So let's move on to the second one. The second one is the SSH key compromise. So if an attacker gain access to your SSH key used to connect to your EC2 instance, and they can use it to log into and also control your instance as well. And another key point is the number three, which is vulnerability exploitation. Bad actors are constantly trying to see what software you're running on your EC2 instance. And once they identify the software, they will check to see, is it vulnerable to certain exploits? Once they identify that, okay, it's vulnerable, then they can use that vulnerability to get into your EC2. So number 4 on the list is using DDoS attack. So DDoS, they can overwhelm your servers, and then once they overwhelm it, you don't know how it's going to actually behave. Sometimes once they overwhelm it, legitimate traffic will not be able to go through, which in that sense will also affect your business. So it's always important to also protect yourself against these DDoS attacks. Another way they can get through is utilizing what we call the malware and also rootkits. So attacker may attempt to ingest malware or rootkit into your EC2 instance to gain persistent control and steal data, or use instances for malicious purposes. So it's always important that you have some form of AV or antivirus running on your environment to really counter against those. And most organizations, not everyone is an IT savvy, and attackers know that. So what they do is, right, they use other means, what we call the phishing attempt. So with this way, they can target users, and then they try and trick them to revealing sensitive information such as your login credentials or even financial data or whatever, right? So that's another way they can also use. They can also leverage what we call man in the middle attack. So attacker can uh, um, intercept any sort of like a traffic. So if the traffic is not encrypted, then they can intercept it because it's plain text. That means they can see your password and username, and through that, they'll be able to use those information to also get into your EC2 instance. And we also have data theft, where they can just go about and stealing your data. You can also use the eavesdropping, and attacker may attempt to monitor network traffic to and from your EC2 instance, and then through that, if the traffic is not encrypted, they can also get into your network that way, right? And we have what we call the social engineering, whereby you probably most people have seen that or been receiving phone calls whereby someone will just tell you, "Oh, I'm calling from this organization," and they try to ascertain more information from you. The more information they know about you, the more they can use that one also during their attack as well. All right. So to protect your institute instance, these are some of the things that you're up against. So if you're not utilizing the best practice, then you might be falling victim to these type of attacks. So now let's now look into some of the ways that you can protect your environment. The first thing is the easiest one, whereby you always have to log in with a password. So if you're logging with a password, it's very important that you increase the complexity of your password. It's not just a word. It have to be a series of words mixed with characters, special characters, and numbers, just to make the password more complex. And you also have to use what we call password rotation, because when you set up a password and you don't rotate those passwords, that will become a problem. Because if your environment is compromised and the bad actor get your password, right, and you've not, if you rotate it, it protects you in that way. Because even if they get your password and then you have a rotation policy, that means you set up a rotation policy like every 3 months I have to change my password, or the users in my environment have to change their password. So that means it helps to protect your EC2 when the password is compromised and those passwords have already been rotated, then the bad actor cannot really use that anymore. Another key factor is also using checking for duplicate password. It's easy for people to just decide, okay, I'm just going to use one password for everything. And that's a big no-no, because the moment you start utilizing the same password for all the servers in your environment, even the critical service, right? Or what will happen is that when a bad actor gain access to one server and they have the password, they will definitely try the same password on other servers as well. Once they identify that it's the same password, then they can get access to your sensitive data. So it's always good to rotate your password. You can even check your password against databases like Have I Been Pwned. So this sometimes when the bad actors sell those password they've steal from organization to the dark web, Have I Been Pwned will have a list of database that will check. You can check against to see if any of your password have been leaked, and then you can use those information to then update the password in your organization. So let's move on to the next one. The next one logically is two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication. When you set up your password, right, you also need an extra level of protection, right? So if the bad actor managed to get the password of your EC2 instance, right, and you do have a multi-factor authentication, that means another way that they have to connect. They have to authenticate by password, but then they also have to authenticate by other means, by something they have or something they are. So if they use, let's say, Google Authenticator for that matter, that means the bad actor will not have access to that Google Authenticator. Or even if in scenarios whereby you're using let's say biometric data, that will be different. But with EC2, it's easier for you to actually set up using the Google Authenticator or even any authenticator for that matter. So you have to leverage that one to help to protect your environment, and that will help you in instances whereby your password have been compromised. The bad actor will still have to have another layer of protection that they have to overcome, which might be something difficult as well. Okay, another key thing that the bad actors actually bag on is vulnerabilities, right? So they are constantly scanning your environment. So if they manage to scan your environment and identify the OS that you got, they identify the type of software you're running, they will check to see what version of the OS are you running. Is that vulnerable? Is that version vulnerable? Right. Once they identify that, then they will use that vulnerability to attack your network. So it's very important that you update and patch regularly, right? So each instance it's a critical part of maintaining. Sorry, patching your EC2 instance is a critical part of maintaining the security and reliability of your infrastructure. So regular applying update and patches help protect your instances from security vulnerabilities, ensure that they are functioning optimally. There are key steps that you have to really follow. So you need to ensure that your operating systems are patched, right? One key thing is that with Microsoft, especially with their Windows OS, what they normally do is that they have OS build and they retire some of these OS builds. So you have to know that which version you're running, which OS build you're running. Is it retired by Microsoft? Is it end of life? If they are, that means those OS are no longer going to receive any patches. So it's crucial that you are aware of what OS you're running. And if you notice that it's end of life, then you need to upgrade the OS. And also, when you are doing the patches, it's crucial that you back up your AMI, the Amazon machine image. The key point is this, right? You're trying to protect yourself against the bad guys, but equally, you don't want to have a process whereby when you are doing those updates, you get a downtime of your service. You always want to make sure that you have a backup just in case anything happen. You need to plan for any eventualities, and also you need to schedule your patches as well, because scheduling your patches means that when those patches require reboot, then you're already you're ready for that as well. And you also can leverage the automation. So you can leverage the AWS system manager. This allows you to automate patches tasks across multiple instances. So it's always good to take advantage of automation to reduce the number of work that your technicians will have to really do. If it can be automated, then you have to automate it as well. You also have to test those patches, because even though there's a new patch, you don't know what the impact might be. Maybe there might be certain issues in the patch, certain things that can get your network to go down or your server to be inaccessible. So first of all, probably have a test environment, test those patches first, and before you introduce that into your production environment. And another key things I've highlighted here is also rollback plan. You need to know that bad things can happen, right? So whenever you're doing a patch, you need to have a contingency plan in place. So just in case anything goes bad, you know that there are options you can actually leverage to roll back as well. So make sure you have that one also locked down as well. Right. So we can also use the option of monitoring your environment, right? It's very important that after patching, you monitor the instance for any unusual behaviors as well, just in case anything happen unexpectedly. You can manage that as well, and also compliance as well. The key point here is that bad actors know that organizations that do not comply to anything, they can just make sure they can get in there because they're not following through any compliance. But if your organization has certain level of compliance, for example, if you're leveraging AWS config and also AWS trust advisor, they can obviously give you advice and also give you information about what is in your environment, what patches are required, which will help you to proceed accordingly. And also it can give you us the best practice as well. You can also leverage third-party software. So there are a lot of third-party softwares that is really, really good. I mean, for example, CrowdStrike, they have this vulnerability manager suite, which will give you information about all your devices, what are the vulnerabilities, which means you can then give that to your engineers and they will start to work through them to protect your environment as well. So remember that patching is an ongoing process and it's essential to stay proactive in keeping your EC2 instances secure. AWS provide tools which we just talked about and services that can help you to streamline your patch management to ensure that your instances are running the latest security updates. Right. So let's go into the networking aspect of this. All right. So in terms of the networking aspect in AWS EC2 environment, all your infrastructure will be situated in a VPC, which is the virtual private network. VPC, I mean, it's more like a logical grouping of your cloud resources so that you can isolate them and during your deployment. So within each EC2 instance, you will find, I mean, different subnet, and then you can categorize them into, let's say, public and private. But most often your focus will be on, let's say, the private subnet, whereby you can have certain type of critical service that you don't want to expose to the public internet. So you keep those ones in your private subnet, and they will not have access to the internet. But there will be certain scenarios, certain instances. For example, if you have a database in your private network, those databases need to be patched as well, right? So how do you go about patching something that is actually behind, it's not accessible? I mean, it doesn't have internet connection. But with that, you can leverage the NAT gateway. So the NAT gateway will allow the traffic to leave the VPC or the EC2 instance, but it won't allow anything to connect to it. So that means those servers, even though they are behind a private in the private subnet, they can still have access to updating their patch and also updating of any kind of software to ensure that they are not acceptable to any vulnerabilities as well. Right. Right. So the next one is the network access control list. With network access control list is similar to what we call the security group, right? Security group. So what this one will do is I can then ensure that you have this access control and then that protects your environment. So it only allow traffic one way. If you want the other traffic come the other way, then you have to literally allow that through as well. You need to also specify it as well. Comparing that to the security group, so you can also leverage the security group to protect your environment. The key point of utilizing security group is more about ensuring that if, let's say, you have a server, those servers more likely, if let's say they are a web service, you want people to access content from the web server. So you open up port 80 or 443 for the users to have access to it, but you don't open other ports. You only open the ports that are required, right? Any other ports, you will close them down, right? Then if you have even a database behind it, for the database, you probably will segregate that into a different subnet. And then for that specific subnet, you only open up the ports required for those databases connections. So by creating multiple security group for each type of resources, it helps you to have these protections. So that means you're not just preemptively allowing everything, all ports allow. You're only allowing the specific services that are required to be open in your environment. Right. So with number 5 is hardening your VPC endpoint. So from a security perspective, it's important to recognize that when accessing EC2 service from your VPC, right, the requests traverse over the public internet. But there's other ways you can access your resources. For example, if the resources in VPC want to access, let's say, CloudWatch or S3 or let's say the IAM, right, you can use what we call the VPC endpoint, and then that means the traffic stays within the AWS network backbone. It doesn't traverse over the internet. So that means your traffic is not going to be intercepted, because once you go to the public internet, that's a different thing altogether. But when you keep the traffic within the same ecosystem of the AWS network, it's more likely that when you are accessing those resources on AWS, you're not going to have any issue of a bad actor trying to intercept those traffic, because it's not going over the public internet. Another important thing is number 6, which is WAF, which web application firewall. So if you have web servers, right, that people or the customers who access, you have to protect them by using the WAF. What this one does is that it protects you against known exploitation like SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and also some other malicious things that bad actors can actually leverage to get into your network. So once you deploy this, you are rest assured that, okay, you have a mechanism in place that is monitoring the traffic and identifying any known attack or known exploit that a bad actor can actually use to get into your EC2 instance. So that's another key service that's important to deploy when you have EC2 instance that is publicly accessible by customers. Right. So now let's go into a bastion host. So most often when you have a server, on the public cloud, right, you want your users to be able to connect to it, right? So the easiest way is to connect by just utilizing the public IP address, but there are other ways, right? You can use what we call the bastion host. So it's more like a jump server, but it actually provide security to your EC2 instances, comparing that to just utilizing the public IP address. So what this one does is that you have a subnet where your users will connect to. So once they connect to it, then they can jump to the instance that they want to really manage. So if a bad actor managed to connect to this, they still will not have access to the server that you want to protect. So leveraging bastion hosts is also another key thing you can actually do. The bastion hosts are typically placed in the public subnet of your VPC and made accessible over SSH or RDP. Users first connect to the bastion host, and then they can jump to the instance in the private zone of your network. So that will provide a layer of security in your environment. So that means your EC2 instances, your servers are not exposed to the public internet, but it's just going to be the bastion host that will be available in the public. Right. So let's go on to encryption, right? So you might ask, okay, why encryption here, right? How does encryption play a role here? Remember that with your EC2 instances, you will have, let's say, a data disk, right? You have a EBS volume, right? So with your EBS volume, right, this contains your data. If a bad actor is able to get into that data, that means they have access to those information. So how do you protect that? You use encryption. You can encrypt those data during at rest. So that means whenever a bad actor gain access to those days, it will not be meaningful to them because that data is encrypted. So that means it's not going to be useful at all. Another key element is also encrypting in transit, right? So what this one implies is that whenever you have, let's say, a web server and the users will connect to your web server, I mean, probably you're hosting a website, right? So when they connect to the website, they can access it. But if those traffic are not encrypted, then a bad actor can eavesdrop in using money in the middle attack to gain access to what is going on. So, for example, if that website you have to log in and a user put in their credentials, if the traffic in transit are not encrypted by using services like HTTPS, then a bad actor can just get all that information and then they will see the username and password that is being used as well. So, enabling encryption protocol like TLS slash SSL for data transmitted to and from your EC2 instance. This applies to data transfer over the network, such as web traffic, API requests, or data exchange over AWS services as well. So secure communication channels using encryption will definitely help you protect your instances as well. All right, so let's now move on to monitoring and auditing. So when you have protected your environment, leveraging all the stuff we just discussed, another key element when it comes to security is that you need to be able to monitor anything that is going on. So that same thing applies to your EC2 instance. It's very crucial practice for ensuring their security performance and also the appliance of these virtual instances within your AWS environment. Here, you continuously monitor those instances. So, in case of, let's say, DDoS attack, one of the key elements you might even identify is that the resources might start to be highly utilized because the bad actor is just trying to overwhelm your server. But when you monitor it, you can easily identify if there's anything that is not normal. I mean, if there's high load instantly on my traffic on my network, then you can definitely see that. You can also leverage CloudTrail for your EC2 instances. So AWS CloudTrail record your API calls and also actions related to your EC2 instances. So creating an audit trail of who interact with your instance, what actions they are taking, could definitely help you in terms of identifying if there's anyone that have actually managed to get into your EC2. It also captures information about instance launch, termination, state change, security group modification, and much more. So it's always important to have the CloudTrail log and then identify what is going on. You can also leverage the CloudWatch as well. So the AWS CloudWatch allow you to monitor performance and health, like I mentioned earlier, in real time. So such metrics like CPU utilization, disk usage, memory usage, all of them can be visible clues that can help you to identify if there's anything that you need to investigate, right? And another crucial element is that you can utilize the CloudWatch alarms as well. So with CloudWatch alarms, you can set up notification to be sent to you by email or even ServiceNow or Slack. So the moment there's a specific threshold, even another key point is that you can also use it to monitor login. So if someone log in with a bad password, like probably 3 times in a row, you can instantly send up a notification that the moment there is a 3 attempt to log in and they are all failures, send me a message through SNS, the simple notification service, and then you can get that message, which will definitely be extremely useful in terms of protecting your environment. You can also leverage the AWS config for your EC2 instance. So AWS config tracked changes in your configuration of your EC2 instance and also associated resources. It records changes to instances the security group, the key pair, and other configuration as well. So the AWS config can help maintain a historic record of the configuration changes and detect any non-compliance configuration as well. So bad actors get into your environment. Definitely, they are trying to ensure that they make their life easy. They might change certain things in your environment. So when you're leveraging solutions like that, monitoring your environment, constantly using audit activities, this will help you to instantly identify when there is something malicious that requires your attention. So it's very important that you start to leverage that as well. Right. So, in conclusion, by following these practice, you are definitely protecting and also securing your EC2 instances from attacks. Right. And also remember to regularly review those security measures to stay on top of any threats. And another key thing that I didn't mention is that you can also leverage on third-party solutions. So leveraging of antivirus, leveraging the modern antivirus will use what we call the behavior detection. So once they identify that there is certain type of behavior which is mimicking certain type of attack patterns, they will also highlight that to you. You can also leverage what we call the IDP, the identity protections, right? So once you leverage those things, constantly monitor the identities in your environment. So, for example, in terms of your AD, you can check to see whether there are duplicate password in your environment. It will check for any, any kind of like identity vulnerabilities in your environment. Also, you can check the protocol that you're using to connect. So, for example, if you're using LDAP for your connection, it will check and see, okay, this is not the best practice. It's best for you to use what the LDAP-S, which is much secure. So leveraging third-party solution like this will help to ensure that your environment are optimized and it will protect you against any form of attack that if you're not really looking for it, it will get into a point whereby your environment will be a place where attackers and bad actors will use it for their playing ground. So I hope this session really helps you out to understand how you can protect your EC2 instances. And just included a few of our links here, but I'll just leave it to my colleagues to give you more information about the quiz that is coming up. Whilst we wait for the quiz, I'm not sure if there's any questions in the chat. If there are any questions, do let me know.
All right. Thank you, Kofi.
Yeah.
Thank you for the wonderful section. Yeah, I'll be on the lookout for that. Is there any question regarding the? We are waiting for that. I hope you guys are ready for the. Then I'm looking forward to you guys with today. Yeah. If you have any question, and just drop while we bring up the slide for the quiz. As quiz, a link will be shared with you guys. You guys can go and join the quiz.
All right, so you guys can scan the QR code on your screen if you want to join the quiz. All right, and we have shared a link, so you can click on that link as well, and that will also take you directly to the quiz as well.
Okay, guys, we have the link now, so you just go in, join.
Okay,
Okay,
you can see that
I
people
can
are
see
joining.
you now. Okay, wait for you guys to join. If you have any questions, kindly do up in the chats.
Right, so we got 8 people joining the quiz now, which is good.
If Kofi on the group, you're welcome. Come on, guys, we need more people. Um, I'm looking at if we'll eat 10 or 15. We can. Come on, guys. Okay, the link has been shared on that. Please, you guys should check it out.
Yeah, we shared a link, but you can also scan a QR code on the screen as well.
We are going to be expecting is actually not too tough for us today.
No, not at all. It's a very light quiz, so it shouldn't be a hard one at all.
Okay.
So we've got 11 people joined so far.
Okay.
So here comes the first question. So the question is, what is the primary goal of hardening an EC2 instance?
Okay. The first is what is the primary goal of what is the primary goal? The first option, optimizing system performance, enhancing security, reducing cost, and then the last one is increasing network.
See, everyone got the question correct, so it's nice and easy, right?
We are looking at the
So now, who
fastest
was
finger.
able to fastest one? Yeah.
Okay. So let us try and review our winner for this. How many people got this correctly? Wow. Everybody.
All right. So the second question is, which AWS service record API calls and actions performed on the AWS account, including those related to the EC?
Correctly. Let's see. Let's see which is the fastest now. Wow, Ladi is the fastest. I hope you can
Okay. Impressive. You got 9 people answering picking up the correct answer. So let's see who was the fastest. It looks like some have taken the first position now.
So let's go to the next question.
What is the common
Which
method of hardening the operating system on an EC2
AWS service
instance?
record API is an action performed on an AWS account related to EC2 instance. The first option is AWS CloudFront. The second one is
Okay, so the answers are installing unnecessary software, running outdated softwares, regular applying security patch update and patches, sharing login credentials with I can see the sorry, there you go. All right, 20 seconds to go. All right, nice. Everyone got the answer correct. That's impressive. Okay, so let's go to the next question. So now, Lady is now back on top. So now this is the fourth question. Right. In the context of AWS EC2 security group, what is the principle of least privilege? All right. So we got all the questions here. So we see who is going to come on top after this round. Okay. Time's up. That's impressive. So majority of you got the question correct. So let's see who stays on top. Looks like the competition is really piling up now. Sam is now back on top. One second. The question just went off the screen. Just going to bring up the question again. One moment. There you go. So how can you harden an EC2 instance against unauthorized access? That's perfect. So we got some at the top. So that's the last question. So which AWS service allows you to continuously monitor and assess the configuration of your EC2 instances and ensure they adhere to desired configuration? So we got AWS Inspector, AWS Guard Duty, AWS Elastic Beanstalk, and AWS Config. So you got 20 seconds to go. So you have to finish hard, guys. All right. So here we go. All right. So Ladi is back on top. So Ladi, congratulations. You are the winner with 575 points. And bravo. I mean, you all have done well. Thank you all for participating in this quiz. So we do appreciate your time and effort as well. Okay, so we do have this event coming up. We do have an event coming up tomorrow as well. So just bear with me 1 second. I need to move this one to another screen. All right. So we have the winner, and we will encourage you to send us your profile, your email, and also your telephone number, your Twitter handle to the email we have on the screen. So kindly send it to us. Okay, so I'm just going to let you know what is coming up next. So we do have another session coming up tomorrow. All right, so we do have audit, monitor, and analyze of log and metrics to detect issues, which will be coming up tomorrow. So we hope that you guys will also take the opportunity to join the session. So as you already know, this is all about learning. So we do appreciate it when you join the session and also increase your knowledge in the process as well. And make sure you share the links that we do have on the screen, which means you invite your friends and your loved one also to join the session for tomorrow. And if you have not already, subscribe to our YouTube channels and other social media platforms, this will be a good opportunity for you to do so as well. Okay, so this is the end of today's session. I'm happy that you are here with me and had a wonderful session. If you want to link up with me as well, you can also link up with me on my on LinkedIn as well. So thank you for taking the time to join today's session. Enjoy the rest of the day, guys. All right, bye for now.